Charlie's drawing, right? And I'm going to show you how it opens. And that's how it was, how it turned out to be. So I'm going to do apple 0. You see it a little bit bigger. Gorgeous, beautiful little sketch, except very washed out. So what I'm going to do right now is color correct that by doing apple L. That is levels. And you see in levels, as clear as the sky or the sun, how when you scan a line art drawing, unfortunately, the spectrum of that image and the black and white, the light and the dark, and the midtone, obviously, in Photoshop do not match up most of the time. So what did I do is I grabbed this dark and brought it in toward the spectrum, and in fact pushed it even a little bit, to the point that I thought was a little bit too dark. I saw too much of the paper in the background. So I went in with the midtone and lightened it up just enough. And then I said, okay, I'm happy with that. I can live with that. And I said, okay. So that's the first step you'll always do is color correct your image, go in the levels. We will go into more color correcting in the future, but level is the minimum you can do, the least you can do. So I'm going to jump to this file that is actually a wallpaper that I grabbed this time from online, because this is not a masterpiece and I did not want to have to do a deep search to this website that I found in Google or something and grab one of these. As I said, after this demo, I'm going to throw all this away. So I just did not worry too much for now. So I have this file. I have the file of Charlie right here. And so what I did is I combined them. Right now I just went into this file that has them both. You see that? Has the Charlie sketch and has that wallpaper thing. What I did is I selected the shirt of this cute little guy, and I already saved the selection. So if we go into channels right here, that I'm going to actually combine with the, you see that I have the shirt right there. I'm going to Apple click, so I'm going to load that selection. Then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into layers, and I'm going to activate layer 1. And I know that I want this wallpaper to end up on the shirt. So how do you think I'm going to do that? I could mask it, but in this case, I know that later on I'm not going to edit it or stuff. It's my drawing, and I know I want just the wallpaper on the shirt. It's not that later on I need to paint extra or stuff. I could use a layer mask. Yeah, or I could go at the simple as it gets and just do select inverse. Rachel is good. And then delete. Oops. I targeted the wrong layer. Isn't it lovely to make a mistake when you're recording yourself? You know why it's lovely? Because that way you hopefully will not do my mistakes. So I'm going to even leave them there. You know, you'll say, hey, Enrica sometimes makes mistakes. And someone will say, yeah, I'm glad she's human enough to do that. So I'm going to hit delete this time, having targeted the wallpaper layer. Somehow, for some mysterious reason, when I hit delete, I assume I was there. Bad assumption, bad thing to assume. There it is. So now I can deselect. And now I have this as now, I maybe needed to clean up my selection and stuff here because it's not exactly matching up. So, you know, I want you to be precise. And obviously you can do it with a layer mask as well. That's fine too, because if this had been done in a layer mask, in fact, let's do it with the layer mask so I can edit it. So I would do Apple Option Z and Apple Option Z. So now what I'm going to do here is, instead of hitting that delete stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on here to make sure I target the right layer, create a layer mask of it. Oops. I should not, if I do a layer mask, I obviously don't want to invert it, because what I want to select is the shirt, the part of the shirt, and I want to mask out the other part. So I'm going to do a layer mask once again, and this time it's going to be working. The difference is now that if I go in here and zoom closely, I see that I messed up, that this is not perfect. So I'm going to go and target that layer mask, the mask that is attached to this layer, and I'm going to clean it up by painting with black, right? So I'm going to hit B to get to the paint tool. I'm already on black, and I'm going to go here and basically clean it up as I should. So in a way, doing the layer mask, now I'm kind of rethinking that it might be a good idea. I thought that we wouldn't go and edit it, but you might end up realizing you did a poor selection work and you want to go in and clean it up, as Enrica is doing right now. So that's one way. Just, you know, this, I don't know if you will want to use textures in your art, but this is kind of one way that you can, instead of have a solid color, you could have some kind of texture wallpaper and make sure that is possibly, it might make it more interesting, or it's just one technique, one option. Okay, guys? Any questions?